You know your horror movie has problems when this guy's cry face is scarier than anything else. This is my review of The Bye Bye Man. A young college student named Elliot moves into an old house with his girlfriend Sasha and his best friend John. Not long after getting settled, they find an old desk with dozens of engravings of the phrase, "Don't say it, don't think it," along with the name, The Bye Bye Man. Soon after, the trio discovers that the Bye Bye Man is a sinister entity who has now began to pursue them, and will continue to pursue anyone else who hears his name. Thus, the three must fight off the Bye Bye Man while trying to keep others safe from his curse. As I was driving home from this movie, thinking about the concept and the premise and the whole idea behind it, I couldn't help but keep coming back to the comparison between this and It Follows, which is another movie about a non-specific entity who is passed along from person to person. Now, It Follows was one of my favorite films of 2015, mainly because of its premise and the way it was executed. The reason I bring this up is because The Bye Bye Man kicks off from a very similar starting point, sets it up very well, and then knocks it down at every opportunity. I'll start with this. As I said, the setup is great. The mythology and the way that the curse works with this entity is very interesting. The whole idea of a creature who becomes stronger the more his name is said is intriguing and has great potential for analysis. I did find myself trying to draw comparisons as to what this sort of mythology could symbolize, what double meanings could be taken away. There are elements such as the train and the coins which indicate that the Bye Bye Man is nearby, and these worked effectively. What didn't work effectively were the story and characters surrounding this mythos. It seems to be a combination of poor direction as well as poor writing. There's nothing interesting about these characters. Our three leads are remarkably dull, aside from Douglas Smith, who is just flat out unlikable. He's a complete asshole throughout the movie, and he's supposed to be our main protagonist. He was just unpleasant to watch. Now, part of this is because of an element of the movie that could have been great, and actually initially I thought that I was going to list it as something to be praised. Rather than a traditional haunting story, our three main characters are slowly driven insane by the monster, bringing out their biggest fears about each other and causing them to turn against each other. That could have been really fascinating if it weren't for the fact that the characters are uninteresting and the conflicts between them are so lifelessly fabricated, with the main one being this love triangle where Elliot thinks the other two are hooking up behind his back, but it's so forced and random that there's no emotional weight to it at all. Honestly, next to nothing in the film has emotional weight to it, which is a shame because this is such a promising premise. Not even the entity itself is very interesting. It starts out really well with this creepy hooded figure just standing in the corner of a dark room staring at you. That was legitimately scary. But once the hood is removed and the creature is revealed, it's so disappointing. He looks like Gollum from Lord of the Rings if he suddenly grew 4 feet and stood upright. It becomes almost funny to look at that point. I had some hopes for The Bye Bye Man. I thought it was going to be a fun, slightly original horror movie that was certainly worth the 2-hour mark. But this movie takes no chances. It succumbs to all of the stupid horror cliches that we've been seeing for decades now, right down to the old creepy house with a secret behind it and the mysterious basement full of answers. There were people behind me in the theater laughing at these points where the audience is supposed to be scared, and that is how you know your horror movie is failing. Personally, I see a movie with great potential, a great idea, and really, really disappointing execution. I'm going to give The Bye Bye Man a D+. If you want to know more about this movie, there are links to its IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes pages, as well as a full trailer down below. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked this, and if you did, you can click right here to get in the phone booth. The reason reason I bring this up is because the Bye Bye Man starts with a very similar starting point. That makes sense. That's proper sentence structure. And turned against each other based on their most inept. Inept? This movie's inept.